Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We are Team H, and today we are going to present to you our analysis of Nestlé, issuing whole recommendation the target price of 84.28 Swiss francs represented 5.6% of upside. We expect the performance of the company to be driven by three main factors. First of all, regional and product diversification. Secondly, cost reductions and focus on core businesses. And thirdly, moderate leverage potential. However, it is going to be materially binded by cash flow pressure as well as risk of deteriorating synergy with acquired businesses. But let us first look at the business foundations of the company. Nestlé is an international food and beverage producer with headquarters in Bavaria, Switzerland. It was established in 1866 as a private company and since then became the largest food and beverage corporation in the world. Having more than 2,000 brands operating in 7 industries, Nestlé's product range is very diversified. 4 of the industries, powder and liquid beverages, nutrition, pet care and water, are considered to be in the main focus according to recently adopted strategy. We conducted portfolio analysis and found out that these industries are also leaders in cash generating and profitability. On the other hand, confectionery, prepared dishes and dairy are industries of secondary focus due to lower profitability and potential of growth. That is why our portfolio analysis proves the efficiency of the recently adopted strategy. Since the 90s, Nestlé operates internationally and is presented in 3 main regions, AMS, EMENA and AOA. Currently, America is taking the biggest share of the company's sales, 45%. On the other hand, Asia is the fastest growing market. Overall, all zones are showing positive profitability growth. In order to analyze the potential of Nestlé in long term, let us take a look at food and beverage industry, firstly at regional level and then within the specific segments. As for regions, all of them are showing positive growth trend. Middle East and Africa are currently leaders in growth, while Asia is taking the biggest volume of the market.
Despite the global markets affecting companies as a whole, there are division-specific features shaping growth prospects. We dive into the core industries of Nestlé, the most profitable and highest growing ones, to analyze their growth performance as well as the position of Nestlé in the market. Firstly, powdered and liquid beverages, a key segment for Nestlé, is expected to reach CAGR of 4.7% globally during the next 5 years. The main product for Nestlé in this segment is coffee. This market is driven by shifted consumer preferences from instant coffee to roast and ground. To expand with the last one, recently Nestlé completed rights acquisition on selling Starbucks products, which is expected to increase company's market share in the segment. The second biggest segment by market size is nutrition. It is also the highest growing one globally, with expected CAGR of 6%. Despite being a leader in the market, the profitability of it for Nestlé is decreasing due to the unsuccessful integration of production units in the segment. Thirdly, Nestlé is second biggest player in pet food industry. Globally, it is showing CAGR of 4.3% and is driven by pet humanization and increasing demand for premium products. Finally, the world watcher market, which is saturated with both international and local players, is showing CAGR of 3.7%. This market is driven by shifting consumption from carbonated drinks to more healthy bottled water. Nestlé takes a leading position in the market, which also shows the highest EBIT margin growth for the company.
Having analyzed main segments of Nestlé, we aimed to identify competitive position for those. Having analyzed the main segments of Nestlé, we aimed to identify competitive position of this company in order to find the most significant. In order to find the most significant competitors, we conducted cluster analysis that reflects total sales, increase in revenue, capital structure, and capital and market capitalization. As a result, Nestlé shows moderate performance, taking leading positions in terms of leverage and cash conversion abilities. However, Nestlé falling behind with profitability, with deteriorating margins reaching the lowest level in at least the last 10 years. So, let us consider the financial health of the company.
Historically, Nestlé is the company with strong cash-generating abilities, whereas vulnerable to global economic instabilities. It already encountered 10% decrease in sales after the world crisis and 8% decrease in 2015 due to the dollar appreciation. Currently, it is expanding in the industries of the main focus, both organically and through M&As, while making the investments in the non-converts in order to increase profitability. In the future, it is expected to grow 4.2% in sales in 2019, driven by M&As in nutrition and purchase of Starbucks selling rights, followed by 2.1% CAGR in the following years. In addition, the company is strategically focused on increasing the overall cost efficiency. Thus, it is anticipated to increase its overall profitability, reaching an EBITDA margin of 20.9%, which is above the industry average. On the other hand, the company is currently conducting the buyback program, in addition to significant M&A activities. Thus, additional $25 billion until 2020 is needed. This is likely to create the cash flow pressure, which will negatively influence the overall performance of the company. Therefore, we expect the company to change its capital structure. With both increasing debt and decreasing cash, we expect the company to reach net debt to EBITDA ratio of 2, which is lower than that of main competitors, shows the moderate leverage potential of the company.
After considering the main underlying reasons for future performance, we arrived at 1 year target price of 84.28 francs, which is a 50-50 mix of intrinsic and relative valuation. Before we conduct intrinsic valuation, we project our revenue based on divisions and expected to have a CAGR of 2.1%, driven by both industry and company drivers. Free cash flow to firm was estimated to account of 10.6%, according to base scenario. Equity risk premium was estimated by using the levered beta of peer companies according to MSCI World Index. The cost of debt was estimated as a weighted average effective interest rate based on the long-term US-denominated bonds. Thus, we arrived to WACC of 6.6%, and by applying terminal growth of 2%, we receive our DCF output of 86.98 francs, according to our base scenario. Since Nestlé operates internationally and is exposed to various equity and country risks, we run DCF price sensitivity, and our analysis shows that if the WACC will increase by 25 basis points, our per DCF price output will decrease to 82.6 francs. In order to validate our DCF analysis, we utilized multiples valuation on the basis of 1 year target forward multiples of EV to sales, EV to EBITDA, and EV to EBIT of our peers. By comparing our multiples and market price share price index, we found out that the Nestlé is relatively overvalued while being average in terms of returns. By averaging our multiples, we received a output of our multiples of 81.87 francs, according to base scenario. In order to stress our analysis, we ran Monte Carlo simulation, which gave us a probability of hold of 76.7%, which supports our recommendation.
Finally, we'll discuss Nestlé key investment risks. For a better understanding of key risks, we plot them on a matrix of probability and impact and distributed them into 3 main categories: strategic, market, and operational risks. 3 of these risks were identified as the most significant, and now we'll discuss them in detail. In order to quantify unfavorable change in currency exchange rate, we conducted tornado analysis that reflects 5% fluctuation in the currencies of main operation. As a result of simultaneous depreciation of main currencies, the target price can be 77.11 franc per share. Despite the moderate leverage, Nestlé is still rather sensitive to cost of debt change. In 2018, Nestlé credit ranking was downgraded. As a result, the company had already issued a 1% higher US-denominated bond than before, increasing back from its potential level. Growing interest rate environment and expected debt accumulation have motivated quantitative price analysis to interest rate sensitivity. Finally, and 1% increase of cost of debt may lead to 1% decrease of stock price. Finally, Nestlé is still rather sensitive to the risk of deteriorating synergies from acquired businesses. Recent acquisition of Starbucks and Atrium Innovations may potentially be underperforming due to management complexity and difficulties of integration of such big businesses.
That is why, because of regional and broader diversification, cost reductions and focus on core businesses, and moderate leverage potential, but despite of cash flow pressure as well as risk of deteriorating synergy with acquired businesses, we recommend you to hold the stock of Nestlé and are ready to answer your questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So we are like investors or potential investors, but I don't have any Nestlé shares right now. So what should I do with your hold recommendation?
Hold it. Hold it. Yeah. We expect our hold recommendation for 2 types of investors. For those who has these stocks and for those who doesn't have the stock. So if you don't have the stock, you don't need to buy it. If you have the stock, you have to hold to have like more clear fluctuations in future stock prices.
Also, I can add, it depends really what portfolio you have right now. So if we analyze your portfolio, maybe we will have, in order to understand if we can actually advise you as a maybe stock, you need to first analyze your current portfolio and to make them more well diversified.
Yeah, well, our general idea is that if you have the stock, just hold it. If you don't have it, don't buy it right now, because there are potentially other stocks which have bigger upside.
Let's assume for a second I do have a stock,
Okay.
and I hold it.
Okay.
Then some activist investors are calling for the company to split up for these major operational units which you mentioned in your presentation. So as the investor holds the shares, I'll most likely have to vote to support it or not support. So what do you think I should do and why?
To support which kind of split up?
The split of the company into different business segments, complete separation of the business units. So no Nestlé, just Nestlé bottling, Nestlé confectionery, Nestlé.
Well, the point is that currently Nestlé has quite a complicated organizational structure because it's like operating internationally, having different types of businesses and all this kind of stuff. And the point is that this organizational structure often is not very beneficial for the company because, for example, their R&D investment that cannot very quickly take their products to the market, and that is why we would rather recommend you to vote for split up of this company.
Have you considered any value upsides from increased leverage of the company, which is much below peers?
Yes, we considered this fact. We found that increasing leverage, increasing the debt capital structure will afford the company to conduct their M&A activities. But of course there are shortcomings, and as we show you in our risk analysis, we see that increasing the cost to debt capital to debt structure will lead to the potential increase in the interest rates, which will result in increasing back. So therefore the share price will be down with a lower upside. Therefore, we don't think that this capital structure change will give such benefits for our upside.
Have you looking at the currency breakdown? It seems on page 19. It seems that there's very little sales in Swiss francs, but at the same time the company has chosen historically to report in Swiss francs. Have you, maybe in the course of your analysis, thought what would be the effect on the stock price, at least the direction, if they would change the reporting currency into dollars or euro? And whether any effect could that lead to?
We believe that such change of the reporting currency is not possible since Nestlé is incorporated under the Swiss law. But if we assume that it is possible, we believe that it would be beneficial for the company to change the reporting currency to the US dollar, since it's the most stable right now.
Okay. Just recently happened quite a big event in the industry with one of its peers, and after that it's dropped very significantly. Do you know what I'm talking about? What do you think would be an impact on Nestlé?
Yes, we think that you are mentioning the Kraft Heinz stock. It had a significant drop after the issuing its financial reports. We analyzed that it's like 14% downside after this event. We believe that it is due to the underperforming solely of the Kraft Heinz, and it's not really influenced by other things.
And talking about Kraft Heinz, this company has a lean and mean approach, meaning that they're really reducing costs in all areas, not only non-consumer facing areas, but also others, such as distribution costs, marketing expenses. and this helps them to drive higher margin, but at the same time it's very harmful for their sales, that's why they cannot generate profits.
But at the same time, we found out that there was made the decision of Euro Commission to make more frequent audits of the companies that are food manufacturers. Therefore, we believe that companies that are focused on the milk and milk, meat and ice cream production will be potentially suffer from such frequent audits connected with increasing their risks. Therefore, the potentially influence company can be not only Nestlé but also Danone or Kraft Heinz as well, since it also produce some meat products. And for example, Unilever, which produces a lot of ice cream.
But if coming back to Kraft Heinz, we believe that Kraft Heinz and Nestlé are competitors mostly in prepared food and dishes, and this is the industry which is not of main importance for Nestlé right now. So it may influence the stock of Nestlé, but we don't believe that it will influence it substantially.
In terms of buyback that you mentioned in your presentation, why do you think the company is doing that, and what is the source of financing for that?
Yeah, well, as the company reports, they're doing the buyback in order to increase shareholders' value. So in order, like now they have smaller interest rates, so now it is possible to do it. But also another reason is that they are paying quite much of their profits as dividends. That is why, in order to sustain that amount of dividends, they have to decrease the amount of stocks like in the market. That is why these are two main reasons of why they are doing the buyback program.
Also, I want to add that historically they had high dividends to shareholders. They increase it every year, and they want to continue to increase it. So that's why they conducted buyback program, and they are running of their capacity to pay out this dividend.
Okay, it's the last one. You have multiples. Why do you think you have such a huge material difference on your multiples EV sales versus EV EBITDA or EBIT? So why do you think you get whatever buy and sell into different relations?
First of all, we believe that these two multiples doesn't show the buy recommendation. They both are skewed mostly to hold. We believe that since Nestlé is the world's biggest producer with the most sales, we believe that EV to sales multiples skew this distribution of multiples onto the increase in the share price. On the other hand, operational capacity, which is represented by EV to EBITDA and EV to EBIT sales, they show that the Nestlé is not the best company in terms of operational efficiency right now. Therefore, we believe that right now these multiples are operational multiples are closer to default.
Thank you.